I still remember the day I left that research institute, not with tears of victory, but with a hollow ache that clung to my chest like a shroud. They had shown me the door for challenging the pharmaceutical giants, for daring to question the status quo. My colleagues called me reckless, naive, a dreamer chasing shadows. My family? They called me an embarrassment, a fool chasing a pipe dream of urban greenery when I should be focusing on real science, real success. Their words cut deeper than any rejection letter. They told me I was wasting my life, that I'd fail and end up right where I started, alone, broken, and irrelevant. I remember my father's voice, thick with disappointment, telling me, "You're never going to make it. You're just a hobbyist, playing with dirt. Grow up." My mother looked at me with pity, as if I had lost my mind. My siblings laughed it off, saying I'd be back to normal soon enough. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was meant for more, that nature held a power. The first year after I left was brutal. I was unemployed, dismissed as a hopeless dreamer. But somewhere inside, a stubborn flame refused to go out. I started small, saving every penny to buy pots, soil, seeds. I turned abandoned rooftops into green sanctuaries, tiny pockets of hope in the concrete jungle. I pored over books, experimented with herbs, wildflowers, native plants. It was a hopeless hobby to my peers, but to me, it was a revolution. Each sprout I nurtured, each patch of green amid the gray, was a silent protest against their cynicism. And I worked in silence, driven by a certainty that I was healing something far deeper than urban decay. I was healing myself, proving my worth through this strange, stubborn pursuit. The setbacks were relentless. Some plants withered, funding dried up, skeptics mocked my obsession. But I kept going. The more they doubted, the more fiercely I fought for those rooftops to breathe. Years passed, and slowly I built something incredible. The abandoned rooftops bloomed into lush herbal gardens, attracting bees, butterflies, and renewed hope. My work caught the attention of city officials and environmental groups. I received grants, recognition, and eventually international awards. I transformed barren spaces into thriving ecosystems, proving that even in the heart of a city, nature could reclaim its place. I was no longer a dreamer. I was a pioneer. My name was on reports, my photographs featured in magazines, my projects replicated in cities across the country. But despite the success, I knew that the real victory wasn't just in the accolades or the green patches I created. It was in the quiet, relentless affirmation that I had been right all along, that nature is resilient, that hope can grow in the most unlikely places, and that resilience begins with believing in yourself when everyone else is telling you to stop. And so I returned home, not as the reckless outsider they once mocked, but as someone who had transformed doubt into triumph. I wanted them to see the proof in the lush greenery that now cloaked what was once a forsaken rooftop in our neighborhood. I wanted them to witness what their derision had tried to crush, the unbreakable spirit of a man who refused to be beaten by cynicism. The day I chose to return was the day I unveiled my latest project, an expansive herbal sanctuary atop the old, neglected warehouse near our town. It was a carefully curated oasis, bursting with medicinal herbs, wildflowers, and native plants. I had spent months preparing it, pouring my heart into every leaf, every root. It was my gift, my testament, and a silent, defiant message. I am more than their doubts. When I stepped onto that rooftop, the air was thick with anticipation. My family arrived, faces unreadable, eyes filled with skepticism. As I led them through the lush pathways I had built, I felt their eyes narrowing, their minds trying to grasp this transformation. They had dismissed me for so long, I wondered if they even believed this was real. Then came the moment, the centerpiece of my sanctuary, a small herbal garden filled with plants once labeled impossible to grow in city environments. I turned to them and gestured proudly. "This is what I've built," I said. "From nothing, with patience, resilience, and a little faith. Just like life itself." There was silence. Then, slowly, my father's eyes widened. My mother's lips parted in disbelief. My siblings looked stunned, unable to hide their surprise. A beat of heavy silence stretched between us. And then my father, his voice rough with emotion, said, "I never thought I'd see the day. I was wrong." In that moment, the weight of years of mockery, dismissal, and doubt lifted like a fog. They saw what I had become, not just a man who grew plants, but a symbol that hope, persistence, and unwavering belief can turn even the bleakest concrete jungle into something alive, healing, and beautiful. Their faces reflected a mix of shame, awe, and reluctant pride. That day, I understood something profound, that true success isn't about fame or awards. It's about transforming pain into purpose, rejection into solidarity, and skepticism into solidarity. Their words no longer defined me. My actions had rewritten my story. Walking away from that rooftop later, I realized that every doubt they cast, every sneer, had only fueled my fire. My journey was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving to myself that the most unlikely seeds can grow into the strongest oaks. That even in a city's heart, nature can reclaim its throne. And so can we. When I look back now, I see what I was always meant to become. A testament that sometimes the most ridiculous dreams are the ones worth fighting for. And that, in the end, no matter how harsh the critics, the truth of who you are will always find its way to the light.